What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Boys, and you're here for another episode of the Facts Project. Today, very special guest, Onaji Rouse. Haven't been with you in a minute, my brother. We are here to not only talk about his newest installment, Drafted Origins, which is live now on GoFundMe, which is the live action adaptation of a very specific comic book that I have right here in Odina. And no, anything that Onaji is bringing up is based on my love of Konkret Comics, his team, his company, and exactly what he's bringing to the table. Thank you for being here again, brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Facts. Long time coming. Look, I'm always ready to come join you.
Yeah, no, for sure, because you know what I'm saying, we go a ways back, like pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
Back when we was all clicking and shit. So inevitably, of course, when you reached out to me about this project, I remember specifically maybe a year and a half ago, you brought up the fact that you wanted to bring Odina to life, and in some type of aspect, and with the help of a good young brother who I, of course, had on the podcast before, Jonathan Armour, who was doing fabulous film work down there in Atlanta. You and him put your heads together and created what we now are seeing with the snippets and the trailer that are pretty much put out in Drafted Origins. Now, if you could catch us up to speed, because those of us that have read Odina over the years are new to this. Like, what is Drafted Origins? Like, please.
So Drafted Origins, it's a small window of before the comic book even kind of like took off. It's like kind of like this alternate like look at like how Odina will kind of grasp to being this hero. Like, when she went back to Atlanta, you had that time period of what was going on in the streets. And also you get to meet like the other people within Atlanta. You got this ensemble cast of characters like within this world. So it's a plethora. It's kind of like Heroes meets Black Lightning. So it's like paths across, journeys across. So it kind of still has centered Odina around the world, but you also get to meet like the people within her world and their powers and what they got going on and the nonsense that she gets involved with. So
right. So pretty much, if you want to display it in some type of form, it's like an Elseworlds episode of Odina.
Yes.
So I remember, of course, with going through this first issue, we pretty much get brought into Odina's origin, who she basically came to be, and basically as far as like her mythology, what brought her to terms as far as her power scale, who she got her power from, who she's related to. There's more than just her that, as far as like have this sort of meta-human type of power scale amongst them, and then we kind of get shifted to Atlanta.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the beauty about film and TV is that if you wait a little longer,
it's true.
Stuff will be revealed.
There's always a flashback scene.
Yeah, but no, on top of that, but I planned out this over a season, 2 seasons. So I got an idea of like how her origins kind of still play out. I mean, even though it doesn't steer too far away from the actual comic book, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you find out, because I wanted to be more grounded, but at the same time, kind of, still have that, stay true to my material. So, yeah.
Now reading the summary for the GoFundMe, you've come to find out that the power scale of a lot of Black folk within Drafted Origins all reside in Atlanta, right there in the South, all pretty much in this certain specific area. So me living in Jersey, guy, just live normal.
Well, here's the thing. Who says it's normal elsewhere? I'm just saying there's a more powerful combined like energy collected in Atlanta, especially when it comes to Black people, whichever way you look at it. As Andre 3000 said, the South has something to say. And even when I went one time to the African American Museum, there was always this collective of the new Negro in the South, and it always centered around Atlanta. And most especially like Black cities, there's a certain energy that's there, but in Atlanta,
I know.
So I'm just saying Atlanta is definitely one of the cities in this world that, yeah, it's a power scale.
Yeah, because well, actually, you got me a rough copy of Drafted Origins that I was able to view, and it can't come to find out, even in some of these snippets, like when when one of like say someone like Odina is someone is faced with somebody of her same power scale, there's no surprise here. They're not
Mhm.
surprised that somebody else has powers. It's
Yeah,
kind of like we run into people with powers all the time.
yeah,
So inevitably, I guess no there's no scale of I guess suspense around exactly what you come to run into when you're running in these Atlanta streets, because you might just run into somebody who can
yeah,
scream like a banshee, or who
yeah.
has the power scale to be a telepath and read your mind.
Hmm. The only suspense you're going to get in the series is going to be how stuff play out, like backstabbing, like like House of Dragons type drama.
Right. Well,
So
I come to find that out because I guess a lot of people don't seem to know when their powers are working, or maybe are just coming to discover what
yeah,
their powers are.
yeah,
And like there's a climactic scene in the end with the telepath, a specific telepath, and it's like, okay, um, I don't know how I did that, but yeah, that's exactly what it is.
yeah. See, in part two, there's an origin flashback in the beginning of the character Anthony, and
Mm,
yeah, and you learn how like his powers manifest, and then on top of that, but every episode there's a flashback of each of the characters.
mm-hmm,
It shows them like where this their paths come from, because the beginning of this one it was a young Odina.
mm-hmm,
The next is going to be Anthony. After that's going to be Tank, and
mm-hmm.
then the next is going to be Tucci and Rabbit. Anthony always did drugs to suppress his powers.
Okay, I'm glad you got that because I wanted to halt right there because every time I saw Anthony, he was timid, completely
Yep.
shy, and he was scared half the damn time.
Hmm.
So him using drugs to suppress his powers and not necessarily wanting to bring them to the fold. Is there somewhat of a traumatic incident to when he discovered his powers to where he doesn't want to see that happening again?
What the GoFundMe's for, so you can
Okay,
get
all right.
part two, son.
See, this is when I start asking my gotcha questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you good. No, you good. But no, it's funny you said that, because throughout the series, you're gonna well, in the beginning of part two, you learn what happened to him in that small part when he really like focused his powers.
Right.
Tank's powers came a little later. That's why at the end you saw how he kind of awakened them. But
Yeah.
he's always been tough. But he never fully like understood him. And also Rabbit the same way. So
Yeah. And it like because me and you both talk about the X-Men a lot. We talk about it
yes.
and everything. We understand that basically the discovering of their power scale is usually based on adolescence. You know,
Yes.
they might have hit puberty or something like that, and then they're
Yep.
coming into themselves and finding their powers on their own. So I always found that you kind of surfaced a lot of your characters in that sort of fashion.
Yes. Oh, well, wait till you see. That's what I'm saying. Wait till you see part two. When I tell you there's a place that houses people with special abilities that Anthony ends up going to.
You got a Krakoa?
Kind of like a Krakoa, except it don't have the island. Look, I wish we could get the island.
This nigga got
But you see where I'm going, right?
right. I do see where you're
Yeah,
going.
yeah. It's a place. It's a place.
So
So
inevitably, the storylines that you've written for Odina, um, do any of them pretty much come to life in this through the series within these two seasons?
yeah, yeah. We actually learn her like her. So her mother is not really her mother.
Wait, from this?
Even in the comic book, I never
Right.
really told anybody that, but Odina's actual mother is not really her mother. Her mother is the goddess Alset, who is Isis,
Yeah.
And she also gave birth to Lady T.
See,
I
man.
know, mind blown, right? I was gonna
Yeah.
save that bit of
I've been
information for
reading
y'all.
three. I've been reading 3 issues of this, and you gonna tell me this? But normally, see, that's good to know because that's something outside of the books. So if you were to read the books and then you understanding that this portion of a plot is only derivative to the live action adaptation
Yeah.
per se. Um,
Mhm.
but the thing is, Odina isn't necessarily even a central point in this story.
No, she's gonna be a main point, but I wanted to like flow around her
Okay,
because eventually it's still gonna lead back to her.
right.
Like, yeah. So, and I wanted to introduce like an ensemble cast because one of my main things about being in Atlanta is that so here's the thing with the market with Atlanta, we oftentimes don't get the same respect as the LA or the New York
Mm-hmm.
market. Even though we're a market, like studios are moving here,
Oh yeah.
they're they're benefiting from the tax break,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't necessarily hire the talent here or the writers or the directors and all.
They just come here to film. They ship everybody in,
Yeah.
do the film here, and then get the hell out.
Yeah, and even like there was something not too long ago where there was an actor who they got paid less than what normally another actor from LA would get or something
Mm-hmm.
because they were here. And one of the casting directors didn't really fight for them like that. So we often don't get fought for, and no one bats for us. So one of my things is to be that bridge to this community and kind of be like, nah, dog, we got the talent here. We got directors, we got producers, we got writers, we got actors. Like, I really want to be like a force. Like, Tyler Perry can't do it all himself. Even though he could because he got a.
I mean, I seen that. I seen that episode of Atlanta. I mean, he's doing 5 shows at one time. You know.
He gotta take a break at some point. Look, you saw the episode, Lord. I was like, uh-oh, trouble.
Mr. Chocolate.
Mr. Chocolate.
Mr.
But you
Chocolate.
know what though? Funny part is I ain't gonna even go there.
Nope, nope, nope. Don't do it. But
Oh,
aside from the fact, okay, so I know of you and Jonathan being, of course, very self-organic in
mhm.
how you create. You know,
Yes.
if ain't nobody gonna do for you, I'm gonna do it for myself.
Yeah.
So of course, and no, we're talking about Jonathan Armour. He had a YouTube series, still does with
Yeah.
sisters, that
Yep.
he introduced on YouTube. Of course, if you haven't had the chance, it's on YouTube right now. You can check it out. It's pretty much like a sector. Think of if Dragon Ball Z was a real thing, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, the
in
black.
that type of sense. Yeah, yeah, with black folk. Yes. But essentially, you two get together, and I'm pretty sure you talked about this for years.
Yeah.
And his love of comic books, as well as his filmmaking,
Yeah.
and basically joining forces with you, and realizing that he's already been able to tap into the Atlanta film industry for this long. You, as well, being a screenwriter, have been able to basically put your hat in that arena for many years down
Yeah.
there. So I guess it was only right to be combative enough to say, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight Atlanta's film market.
Yes.
Our actors, our actresses, our entire film crew, the key grips to the
Yeah.
gaffers and the sound producers. We're just going to do this whole shit ourselves.
Yeah. Pretty
Now,
much.
the reception in doing that, when you started to do that, how was it?
Most of the time when it comes to this industry, people are more like show don't tell.
Mm.
And that's like a rule even in screenwriting, like when show don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
So they they need something tangible to see. So when you are in this industry, you could talk a good game and say you got this and got this, and that might catch your eye. But until you actually present like the actual film or snippet or something, then they're gonna be like, oh snap, how can I be involved? Because like
Right.
once they see, then they're like, okay, you're serious. Like you not, can we curse on this?
Yeah, you can cuss on them.
Yeah, we ain't fucking around.
I wouldn't think
Like
you were.
and I think that's the wonderful thing about Jonathan and us teaming up is that he's serious about what he do, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious about what I do. And he said he was like, I don't care too much for writing. I like directing, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't know how to direct, but I know how to write. Let's do it.
Right.
Yeah, and I just sent him episode 2, and when you get a partner who is excited about the work you do,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, man, I can't wait to film this. I was like, this is gonna be great. And I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it helps to have people who love to do what they do. Like even the actors, when they show up and they giving it all, like that scene with Anthony.
Yeah.
Like so one of my friends was like, that's an intense scene. Like he did a great job. And I was like, he really did. And they're just that great of an actor. And it was hard to like kind of send them their clips too, because I'm sitting there trying, I have to choose like what to send them for their
Right.
reasons. And I'm like, everyone did such a great job that it's kind of tough. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's great when you have the people to kind of like really put the work in, and then you produce something and people are just like, oh shit, you're
Yeah.
serious.
Now, me not being as familiar with GoFundMe as a lot of other crowdfunding sites, like
Mhm.
why did you select that aspect, you and Jonathan, to go towards the GoFundMe route as opposed to Kickstarter? Is Kickstarter that limited? Do you have to pick like a time frame where GoFundMe is a little
I
bit
think,
more
yeah,
extended?
yeah. Kickstarter, it gives you a certain amount of days, whereas in GoFundMe, it's as you go along.
Mm, I
Oh
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. And even though they'll take a percentage like Kickstarter, but it's not as limited as far as in like the days.
Mm,
So, and I'm just like, as we go along, I'm just building it up. So that way, it'll
mm.
be ready to like just go over.
Now, is this something that Jonathan did in the past with some of his past movies? Did he?
No, but I know other actors who did it.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yes. A lot of other indie filmmakers either use GoFundMe or Indiegogo.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, see now in the comic realm, people don't go to Indiegogo route because that's where
Yes.
all the Comics Gate motherfuckers is living at.
Exactly. Exactly. And most other people go to Kickstarter. So
It's true. It's true. Now that's generally new because getting into this type of medium. And no, like I said, you and Jonathan have been being in this field for a while. You actually started doing this before you did comics.
yeah.
Now how long have you been a screenwriter?
Since 2018. I
2000.
think I actually started the comic first, and then like I started taking acting classes. And
Mm.
when I yeah, yeah. I done
Because
acting.
I know you when this came out.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was all
But
all at the same time.
yeah,
Okay.
it the worlds don't correlate with each other. Facts. It's weird. Like when I tell you, blurred culture and blurred community is totally different from entertainment with the actors and the film. It's like, but it sometimes mesh because of Black Panther and
Yeah.
like Lightning. But other than that, they don't know. So so so
But do you
I
sometimes feel like you living in between two worlds?
yeah. It I told you it comes to a point where I have to deal with the personalities from each.
Mhm.
The and I have to say the phoniness and the fakeness, and it really like wears on me. So I'm just like, it wears on me, bro. Like you just don't
I get it.
understand.
I totally get it. Now, essentially like in putting this together, like as far as like I guess the end game. So when you inevitably reach your goal, I think right now you're at like 1300 bucks. Your goal was around like 2500, correct?
Yeah,
Right. And the thing is with GoFundMe, you can go beyond that.
yeah,
So it's like um as far as like indie films, the end goal when you're basically putting this production costs and everything together, is this essentially for just the one episode that basically the rough draft that you showed me, the 37 minutes, or is this ongoing throughout the entire series?
This is on. This is for part 2 of that thing. Like that episode that you saw is already done.
Mm,
Well, other than edits and stuff,
yeah.
that like yeah, that's done. Like this post-product, the payments for this is going towards production costs, locations, craft services, like all that stuff for booking for. So like it, and if we're trying to do it where we can
Mhm.
extend certain booking locations, so that way we can go ahead and wrap on 3 as well. So knock that
Right.
out.
Now, does the comic book that's being created for this film correlate with the film?
Yes, it's like a little mini comic book that kind of introduces them, like kind of like a little small like introduction. Nothing too big, nothing too,
Mhm.
too yeah.
Now, essentially, this arc right here, right now, I believe it's in issue 3. Now, how now when we talked about this, how big is this arc going to be till we get to a full volume? Are we going 5, 6 issues with Odina?
That issue 4 is out right now for
That,
Odina.
that's right. I'm sorry. So is it 6?
It's 6, yeah.
It's
So
6.
and 2, 5, and 6 are already like colored. They just got to
Okay,
get lettered.
got you.
So
I'm about to say, I'm like, wait,
Tennessee.
I ain't get my 4 yet. Hold up, I'm gonna get my 4.
That Ten of Swords final battle.
Right. Yep. So like I guess in essence, you're gonna have pretty much 3 projects going on at the same time.
Yes.
Now, then I say
I told
because
you I've been working with my head down. I told you
yeah,
I've been working my head down,
yeah,
Cat.
man, God, I mean, shit, just a, you just a hermit at this point. You just like in your shell. What's he doing? He's writing. What's he doing? He's writing.
Yep.
You know, but
Oh my God, I turned into Mr. Chocolate.
yeah. Now you still have Sister Circle and Kandake. Are they
Hmm.
are they still going to have more issues? Now I remember Sister
Yeah.
Circle almost just being a one shot in the beginning, but then it was like you had this little bit of a I guess feedback from a lot of the community that was like, yeah, you can't just do one of these, bro.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna get 2 more issues for Sister Circle, which I already wrote out. So they're written. They just got to get an artist behind them.
Mhm.
And Kentucky is actually 4 issues, and issue 2 is already like in works, and issue 3 and 4 closes that storyline. So yeah.
I'm actually glad that you have a whiteboard next to you because I couldn't pay attention to none of this shit. And how you
Look, I needed one, bro.
real you got to draw out your outlines daily of your day.
Oh, I didn't even tell you how I plan on introducing Kandaki in the live action.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
see, I
I'll
knew
send you my pic.
I knew that was coming. I knew. Look, I figured because that was going to be one of my questions. I was like, does Kandake or either that or even members of Sister Circle, if there's any type of notion, if there's an Easter egg that throws
Yeah.
it out there that maybe
Yes.
we don't know, I figured there's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah. So if I had a bigger budget and I was able to write more of the or make more of the seasons. For season 1, there was going to be a title of an episode, Sister Circle,
Mhm.
where it's going to be the women of the sanctum kind of helping out, like on a certain mission with
Mhm.
Odina. So it wasn't going to necessarily be like the actual comic book, but it was going to let you know, like, this is where it could go towards.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you had the budget that you wanted to, and no,
Hmm.
you created drafted as somewhat of this street level type of series. It keeps
Yeah.
it keeps Odina on a level playing field, even though a lot of people have a high power scale. Everybody's pretty much OP.
Yeah.
But if you had a full production cost, say you had a nice little budget, would we see
Hmm.
Odina in Egypt, in Africa, doing her thing first? Will we see the type of costume design that you put in like the first 10 pages of the first book?
Here's the thing. She would definitely get a costume, but it probably wouldn't come to like season 2.
I wouldn't think so. I
Yeah.
wouldn't think so.
So
I would just more so think that like her origin story of where she's from and the people that she derives from would more
mhm.
so play a part just in that little first episode.
Well, episode 2, she gets someone comes back into her life, like an old, I want to say old flang,
Mm-hmm.
a friend, but someone who used to be in the program with her. So he's pretty much gonna take her, back under his wing to go back out in the streets. Like he, so okay, I can't get too much on the character,
No,
but
no, no, and it's fine. I don't want you to give us too much, you know, because
but
because of who Odina is. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
In the comic book, she got a lot of attitude, and
yes,
she is very defiant of authority figures. Um,
yes,
so like at some point in time, of course, in this first this first episode, you don't get to see that much, but I'm
yeah.
pretty sure it's coming.
Well, this is the origins where it leads up to, and you
Mhm.
get to see where it comes from.
Yeah, because the
Like,
government does get involved at some point here.
yeah. Well, not only that, but life happens. Like the one thing I try to tell people is that there's a time span, when she goes to Atlanta to when she goes back to being with the program, that life hits her. She learns the hard way. She's on her own. She ain't got no money. Like,
Mhm.
she barely making it. Like that kind of changes a person. So we're
'Cause-
gonna get to see that in the series.
and she kind of thinks of herself as indestructible until she gets knocked on her ass once.
Yep.
Regardless of how OP anybody is.
Well, here's the thing, and that's funny you said that because there's a character who they're powerful, but they're not like Odina powerful, but they can bring her to her they can bring her to her knees.
Mm.
Yeah.
Somebody
Like
somebody we've already seen.
no.
Oh no,
King
not
B.
yet.
No, no, no. Like think of the purple man, except a little bit more powerful.
Oh, now see, yeah, I like where you're going there. Like where you.
Yeah.
All right. So, how now? How's the state of Concrete Comics?
The state is good. I mean, we still chugging along. I think
Yeah,
what Deja Vu just wrapped their Kickstarter.
yesterday or
Little
was it this morning? Might have been yesterday.
problem.
Yeah. But the thing is, I remember, of course, if we're talking 2018, it was just you, Jamel, and Lonzo,
Yeah.
and Daniel basically doing the editing.
Yeah.
Daniel's now a full scale creator. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So he jumped out of the editing mode. And now, like, if you were to go on the Concrete website, you now have a plethora of creators now. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, and the character building. Like, if I was this is just a portion, but if I was to bust out my Concrete stack,
Yeah.
getting pretty, it's got some weight on it now.
Yeah.
You've already contributed to a volume that you all basically painstakingly put in. There's about, I'm going to say 5, 6 series with over 3 issues a piece. So like when we talk about the beginnings of a high quality comic book publishing company that
Mhm.
puts out creator driven comic books year after year. Y'all
Yes.
y'all tend to put out what 3 different projects within a year, usually, if not more. So when you think of yourselves in the 5 years since y'all started and how y'all been able to basically build yourself up to this point and almost put yourself up there with the big boys of the world, you're now being distributed by Diamond, you know,
Mhm.
so where your comics are now nationwide without y'all pushing out the trunk of your car like your Master P and No Limit. You know, You know, like how does a situation like that feel?
Hmm. To be honest with you, it hasn't really settled in until I'll go someplace and I will talk to people, and
Mhm.
I still have this. I want to call it imposter syndrome. I'll call it just. I call it I'm being modest.
And that's good.
Yeah,
That's a good way
and
to be.
yeah. I'll tell people like, yeah, I'm an independent comic book creator. Got my own titles, and most of the time people just like, you have a comic book, and then I'm just like,
Yeah.
and me, it's like second nature. It ain't no thing for us. It's like yeah. It's
Mhm.
like, no way. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's starting to slowly. I'm starting to slowly realize that it's no easy feat, and I am proud of like how far we come and what we accomplished. So yeah, pat myself on the back. Shit.
Yeah. Because nowadays when people say Concrete Comics, like that name holds a little bit more weight than it did in 2018.
Yeah.
You know, it was like you write for Concrete. And I've
Yeah.
seen when y'all head to cons. You know, like we're not talking about the days where y'all like were trying to get funded for your comic books.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's an easy win. It usually happens within a few
Yeah.
hours. Um,
Yes.
and necessarily like what you guys have built has definitely always been something to be seen, because like y'all don't take it lightly. There's a lot of creators that came out during like the same time frame. Some of them aren't doing
Yeah.
comics anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I can only
I
imagine.
think the thing is also consistency. So,
It is.
that's going to separate a lot of
Mhm.
people from the rest. So just thank God for that.
Yeah.
you know,
What the
God for
thing is, there's been a lot of people that have created comics that haven't been able
mm,
to get them. I'm putting out a comic book. Cool. It looks like this. Really cool. Kickstarter's about to get live. Cool. Fund the project. Cool. When am I getting
mhm,
it? I don't know.
exactly. That's why, and I think with us, we make sure it's done before.
Yeah.
That way, it doesn't feel like they have to wait so long to get that project, because that's the one thing I think a lot of people should definitely do when it comes to projects is no, you need to have the book done first. So that way you can build up your rep as being a reputable publisher, especially because you don't have a backing of the big machines. So
Yeah.
you gotta make it work.
Yeah. And
So
even outside of that, the accolades that you guys have been able to get over time, not only from the community within, but the community at large. You know, so
yeah.
like the Glyph Awards that you guys started to snatch up when you when y'all first started putting your stuff out there. I know that was surprising to a lot of y'all. I remember when the nominations came out and then when y'all won some shit, y'all was like, what the fuck?
Oh
So
yeah.
like, I'm like, why are y'all
Well,
shocked?
hopefully win some more this year.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
for real, man. Look, man, it's a testament to y'all company, man. Y'all really do the damn thing. Now I remember what after COVID, y'all had the opportunity to go to cons for the first time and
Mhm.
actually get the powwow with other creators. It almost looked like a cookout.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
usually how it is at cons, especially with our people. So
Yeah, like
yeah.
especially the ones in Atlanta, because I mean, here I can even ask that question, like, how is the scene and the comic book scene in Atlanta since the pandemic?
It's not as I don't know. It's interesting. It's not as I don't think it's rebounded.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a scene here, but I don't think it's. I think after the pandemic, it kind of still trying to gather its feet. Like it's trying to gather its bearings because I don't think it's recovered. to be honest with
Got
you.
you.
So yeah, so me, I'm more like on the other circuit right now with the entertainment wise, because tomorrow I got an event to go to for this event called Onset Atlanta, which is like filmmakers and like local filmmakers and stuff, and they're celebrating their 1 year anniversary. So that's more of an active scene for me as opposed to the comic book scene. The comic book
Right.
scene is, I mean, if it's happening, they don't reach out to me. So
But yet when you get Dragon Con that shows up,
yeah.
Atlanta Comic Con that shows up or anything like that, how different
So
is that?
okay, so Atlanta Comic Con is still kind of new, but Dragon Comic Con shuts the city down
Does it?
because yeah, oh yeah, it's just as bad as San Diego Comic Con.
I mean, I already know y'all traffic is horrible, but I'm just saying.
No, it's a joke. It's shitty. But imagine having that come here and then okay, so let me draw you a picture of how crazy that weekend gets when it comes to that shit. Labor Day weekend, you got Dragon Con, you got Luda weekend, you got the basketball games, I mean the collegiate games,
Yeah.
you got Pride weekend. You have a bunch of stuff going on all that weekend. So Dragon Con descends like right downtown, and they take up most of the section. They have all the hotels. They booked all the floors in the Merrimark building. When I tell you lines are wrapped around like not just 2 buildings, like 3 or 4 buildings. Yeah, like they have it. They had to like get it down where they had people like trying to direct the traffic of the
Yeah.
people for the lines. Like that's how bad it is for Dragon Con. Like it's chaotic. People are on trains to get downtown because they don't want to drive in the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
People, ferries, people in carnival outfits. Like it's it's people watching season. So it shuts the city down. Dragon Con is massive compared to the Atlanta Comic Con because the Atlanta Comic Con is still kind of new.
Uh,
Dragon Con, it's been here since 2009 or something. So
really?
and it's grown, yeah, and it's grown.
Mm.
So yeah, so
Yeah, because I
it's
about to say I know people that be up here talking about they want to go to Dragon Con.
yeah. When I tell you facts, 2009, I first moved here. I went to the parade, was not that busy. Now it's to the point now where you go want to watch the parade, which is free on Dragon Con on Saturday morning. You have to go in the parking lots and stuff to see because the streets are like flooded.
Look like an NBA championship rally parade.
Yes, yes,
Hell.
times 10. Because you have people in costumes and they sweating and it's hot as hell in Atlanta and they got on latex and shit. And you know they probably stinking as hell. So you just like, Lord. So yeah, it gets bananas for Labor Day weekend for that.
Damn.
So and I would love for us to get a table there because when I tell you the Merrimark building is like one of those trade show buildings where it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Full conference building.
yes, but it's like levels. So they already took over 2 of those buildings.
Mm.
Yeah, one building's for gaming and the other building's for vendors and art alley and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even that has lines to it as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I would love us to get a table. We would do crazy there.
Mm.
So
That sounds like something y'all need to hop on immediately.
yes. Tell me about it. Can you tell Alonzo that?
I will absolutely tell
Thank
her.
you. Thank you.
No problem.
Look,
But
because I'm
oh,
tired.
well, shoot, Onaji, for anybody that wants to get their hands on the and contributing to the GoFundMe and wanting to see drafted in its entirety with the full funding of this program, this project, um, let the people know what they can achieve as far as like tiers and everything,
Yeah.
if they are to contribute to this project.
Yeah. Everybody, once the project is funded, everyone is going to get an exclusive link to see part one. So we're only 54 backers. Like if 54 backers right now donated $20, we would reach our goal.
Mm-hmm.
And with every tier you select, there's a tier for digital downloads. There's a tier for an exclusive look, and there's also a tier for you to get your own little character pinup done within the universe. So, but everyone donated will get an exclusive look to the project once we reach our funding. So they get to see the pilot.
Dope. Man, look, it's good to see you, bro.
Thank you. We gotta talk more about X-Men next time. And
Yeah, because I'm still reading, and I'm sure you are too.
wait a minute, are you? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely still reading. Sure. Well, Onaji, it's been real. I appreciate you doing this with me. It's always good seeing you, brother.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you
And
for having
and
me.
I wish you well in this project, and I know it'll get funded, and I look forward to seeing the end project.
Yeah, your mouth, the Black Jesus here.
For sure on that. All right. So for everybody out there, this is Onaji Rouse, James Grandmaster Facts Boys, and we are out.